DK. Go, Cat. Presented by Bones Brothers Media.
That's right. Laugh it up. I think it was The Stranger. I know it was The Stranger in The Big Lebowski, portrayed by the great Sam Elliott, that said, sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you. And I got to tell you, Wild Man, we were eaten this week. The core four, Morikawa goes for 62nd place. Harris English, 55th place. Gary Woodland was the lone bright spot on Thursday and Friday, made it a little interesting. He finishes 38th. Jake Knapp, I know the guy's got some issues, man, but took a nap on us. Withdraws from the tournament. And our flyer of the week, our rogue warrior of the week, Hideki, finishes 53rd. The single-digit prop bet lost. The playoff prop bet lost. And the top 10 parlay was laughed out of the DraftKings building this weekend. What the hell happened to us, Wild Man?
Hey, look, even, Barry Bonds had a couple of over 4 games. But look, what can you say, man? You go out, you make educated guesses, and this was one that was rough, man. I couldn't even open up the app. It felt like a scary movie. I'd open up the app, I'd look out of the side eye like those two brothers on Instagram. You know,
I love
I
those
couldn't even
guys, by
take
the
it,
way. I
man.
can't remember what their names are right now. I love those guys, though.
Yeah, I don't know either, but yeah, it was a rough one out there, and I mean, to make matters even worse, I'm in 2 DraftKings leagues, and I played the core 4 in my big league. I'm in second place overall right now. But these guys have a rule that of the 30 men each week, the lowest scoring team has to chug a beer on video and send it to the whole thread. And we came in 30th. We couldn't even beat the Jake Knapp. I didn't have Jake Knapp in that one, by the way, and I still couldn't beat the Jake Knapp lineups with that pig staff that we ran out.
If it was a cut event, most of these guys would not have even seen the weekend. Interesting thing about Jake Knapp, though, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about it. Not Knapp in particular, but the situation surrounding Knapp. When he withdraws, DraftKings doesn't let you get a substitute in there. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's one of the worst rules in professional sports gambling across any of these sites. Some of the books used to have walkover results where if a tennis player withdrew midway through a match, it would be called a walkover. They would just cancel the bet out, despite if the player was winning or losing. That was a horrendous rule that the books have since changed, like in the last year or so. When it comes to DraftKings in particular, there's something called a late swap. Every other sport offers it: baseball, basketball, football. Let's use the NFL because most of our fans probably play NFL. Most of the listeners do. And so, in other words, if you draft a player that kicks off in the 4 o'clock slate and he is ruled out at 3 p.m., you can swap him out for any player at 4 p.m. I don't know why golf would not do that, why PGA would not allow you to do that for a player that hasn't teed off at 12:35. Why would you not be able to put anybody in there that hasn't locked up yet that's that price or lower? To me, it's a horrendous rule. I have been on the both sides of it. I don't take any pleasure in the Jake Knapp lineups this week, the people that got screwed, even if it helped me in a big lineup, because it's probably going to happen to me down the road here too. It already did with Morikawa at the TPC. It happened with Knapp twice this year. So just a horrible rule that I know DraftKings is hearing about it, because it's impossible not to complain about that if you are on that guy. And
Let
then
us
have it.
know. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about that as far as the late swap goes, and if it did hurt you this week with Jake Knapp, who is in the field this week at the Truist. And again, professional golf is in such a unique position right now. It's hard not to laugh at some of this stuff that's going on right now. You've got 2 PGA Tour events going on this week, the week before the PGA Championship. Explain this to me, Wild Man. What's going on with the PGA Tour schedule? And I know, whether you want to admit it or not, that Live Golf has had something to do with the way that the PGA is revamping their schedule. What's with 2 events this week? We're going to
Yeah.
concentrate mostly on the Quail Hollow Truist event, but there is the One Flight Myrtle Beach Classic going on, which doesn't have a great field, but certainly not a slouch field. You've got Koepka in that one, some familiar names: Billy Horschel, Grillo, Higo, Damon, Kuchar. Not the household names that you're used to hearing on the PGA, but why the two events this week?
No, that's a heavy field in the opposite event because of the fact that the signature events are so limited now. Now, this isn't unprecedented, Edge. Like at most of the invitationals, the Memorial, the Arnold Palmer, all the majors, those were always opposite schedule events that would allow kind of the next wave of guys and sponsors exemptions to get a look in. Now, all these signature events, like this is back-to-back signature no-cut events on the PGA Tour. It's getting a little ridiculous, right? And this is all ripple effect off of Live. So Live, although it's folded and some of these guys are crawling back, it did have an impact on the PGA Tour. There's no doubt about it. So that's what you're seeing now. But like you're saying, like Brooks Koepka and Billy Horschel are in the silly field. It's kind of weird.
It is weird. Now, you think Koepka's probably got to play in that silly field because it's going to be an easier route to him getting maybe a top 10, a top 5, maybe even a victory, which he probably needs coming back with all the penalties that he's facing right now from the PGA Tour. No, you're shaking your head at me.
No, I'm 100% with you. And we said it last week. Like the PGA Tour is a true meritocracy. Koepka's taking it on the chin, man. This is a 5-time major winner in his prime. He's playing in the One Beach Myrtle Classic while there's $20 million up for grabs down the street.
And he is exempt into next week's PGA Championship also, regardless of where he's playing, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, which is even funnier, right? Which is even more bizarre. It's like he's already qualified for the PGA, but he can't get into the Truist. Weird.
Well, we may talk a little bit about the One Flight Myrtle Beach Classic in the closing here, but let's get on to the Truist Championship. It is at Quail Hollow in Charlotte. Rory McIlroy is our top seed here, 11,700. Now, the core four last week, we should also mention, if you haven't realized yet, Bones DK not with us again today. That was his core four last week. The week prior, he was not with us, and you delivered the core four, which had a little bit more success. So we're interested to see how you're going to go about your build this week. And Quail Hollow, the PGA is no stranger to Quail Hollow. It's been here annually, sometimes twice in the same year on the PGA. So tell us a little bit about the course, Wild Man, and what are we looking for as far as the build of our lineup goes?
Yeah, so Quail Hollow has played host to this tournament almost every year the last 20. It did play host to the PGA Championship last year where Scotty Scheffler won by, I think, 5 over Harris English. But it's back at Quail Hollow. It's a par 71, long course with the Green Mile coming at the end, which is always said to be some of the hardest closing holes on the PGA Tour. To make matters worse, it's a bomber's course to begin with. It's supposed to be heavy, heavy rain Wednesday night into Thursday. So it's all obviously going to play longer. You're not going to get rolled out in the fairways. You're going to have denser, thicker, wetter, rough. It's going to cause some trouble there too. So this is definitely favoring the Bombers. You might get lift clean in place on Thursday. It's just going to remain to be seen what the weather truly does. But yeah, we're looking for heavy hitters here. McIlroy's a 4-time winner here. And other long hitters have had success here as well.
Sepp Straka was the winner here just a year ago or 2 years ago if they came for the championship last year. Cam Young is our second seed here at 10,100. A huge disparity between McIlroy and Young at $1,600. So, by the way, Young, we talked about how poor we were last week at the Cadillac. Cam Young was boxed to wire. Just a real pleasure to watch. Do you think that carries over this week, Wild Man? And why don't you get us started with your core four?
Boy, Cam Young is, and by the way, Straka's win last year was at Philadelphia because they were running the PGA last year.
Okay.
But yeah, Cam Young, man, I mean, I had to take on him, what was it, 2 weeks ago, where I'm like, this might be ice cold, but I just don't think he's what everybody's saying he is right now. He goes out, wins by 20. I bet the winning score to be 10 under, lower than 10 under. he drops 20 under, 19 under, whatever it was.
Yeah, he was 10 under through like
Yeah,
20 holes, it seemed like.
yeah. Egg on my face there. Look, you've got a Scotty Scheffler scenario here with McIlroy. He's obviously the best player in the field. He's equally as good as Scotty Scheffler, you could argue. Certainly the closest thing to it. Like if he plays, he's pretty much on the first page of the leaderboard, if not winning. And he's a four-time winner here, including the last time it played here that wasn't the PGA. So you got to like McIlroy. Now I come down to Cam Young, Fitzpatrick, and Xander Schauffele. Okay, they're all priced right there. I mean, these guys on paper over the last 6 weeks have done exactly the same thing, with the only outlier being Schauffele hasn't won yet. And look, I'll go back to Cam Young. I'll say he was a little fluky at the Masters. Backed that up last week. I think Fitzpatrick, despite his recent form, has been like holding out from off the fringe. I think he had not 8 putts through 9 holes at the RBC because he chipped in on 3 holes in a row and stuff. Kind of fluky there. And actually, I think got picked up by his brother a little bit at the Zurich. So long-winded. I think it's Xander's week to get a win. He's a 2-time runner-up at the Truist or at Quail Hollow, and he's priced right in there. So he's coming off 4 straight finishes in the top 15, a couple of top 5s. You know, kind of gearing up quietly for the year's second major. So look out for Schauffele. We'll start him with the core 4.
Real quick, to your point about Rory McIlroy before we move on to the second guy in the core 4, isn't this Quail Hollow Charlotte crowd a sympathetic McIlroy crowd here also? Hasn't he had some success at Quail Hollow in the past, or am I wrong on that?
No, you're right. You're right. You must have been reading something. He is a 4-time winner here.
Okay, yeah.
At Quail Hollow. So he's pretty much the horse for the course.
And they're going to want Rory to probably become a 5-time winner there.
Yeah, you know how it goes in golf, right? I mean, it's just like tennis. You're cheering on the guys that have won the tournament many times. So for sure.
Yeah, it's just like tennis. You're cheering on the guys that have always won before. Xander Schauffele, $10,000 our first core 4. Who's second in our core 4, Wildman?
All right, number 2. I talk about this guy nearly every week. Sometimes I talk about him when I'm having coffee with random people. He is number 1 in the field in strokes gained with his iron play right now. You're going to need long iron shots here. He ranks very well, 175 plus and 200 plus in terms of proximity. He's coming in off a very consistent season and a really good Sunday last week and a good Saturday too. Adam Scott, 8,900 is going to be number 2 in the core 4. Just a monster. Just a monster.
He loves Darrell, the Blue Monster, speaking of that name, and did play pretty well last week, but you like him again this week.
I do. I mean, he's just any course that the PGA Tour consistently plays, you can find Adam Scott somewhere in the historical course history. You know, whether he's won it or top 5 it or top 3 it or whatever.
And a good price at 8.9 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And he pipes it off the tee, sneaky long, and number 1 with his approach. We're going to take it. Coming up next, Kurt Kitayama, 7,800. Coming off a 9th last week, an 8th at the Heritage, made the cut at the Masters, 18th at the API, which should play kind of similar to this. Long, thick, rough, a lot of par 3s, a lot of long iron shots. Give us Kurt Kitayama, 7,800. And then we're going to close it off with a broomstick putter. He looked terrible. He actually moved what would be cut line on Sunday on the back 9 last week by running in I think he played his final 7, 6 under. Broomstick putter, sneaky long, really good iron play. Number 1 in Bermuda putting, depending on how you look at that, but roughly number 1 Bermuda putting in any metric you look at. A lot of good finishes. Won the Arnold Palmer, which is a corollary course to me. We're going to go with Akshay Bhatia. Somebody actually just told me it was pronounced Bhatia, but I can't get my mouth to say that. Akshay Bhatia. So we're going to stick with Bhatia.
And what's his price this week? Wow.
7,700. 7,700. Sorry.
7,700. So we got Xander, Adam Scott, Kurt Kitayama, and Akshay. as our core four. Not bad at all. Let me just throw a couple names out there, and I don't want to steal your Rogue Warrior of the Week, but let me just throw a couple names out here. I know that Cantlay is a friend of this podcast, 9,200. You're getting a $1,000 discount on Cantlay versus Shoffley and those top-tiered guys. Why not Cantlay this week?
Yeah, he's just been withdrawing from some events too, and just hasn't been playing consistently enough. From what I hear, he's actually one of the more disliked guys on the tour
Hmm.
because of slow play. You know, he's always wiggling his feet for 30 seconds, and I think guys get really frustrated playing with him. And that might not hurt him as much as it hurts his opponent, but aura matters in every foursome or twosome in every group, right? So I'm not really ready to get back on Cantlay. I think he's overpriced this week.
I think we might be getting into your Rogue Warrior range here, but I got a couple more names I want to bounce off you. This trio of golfers. You're going with Adam Scott at 8-9, but you've got Hideki right below that, who was our Rogue Warrior last week at 88. And then you got Ricky Fowler at 9,000, who seems quite overpriced to me at 9,000. Just comment on any of those three golfers right there.
Yeah, I don't know how to say this, but one of those guys is one of the Rogue Warriors this week.
Okay.
So I'll go down to Hideki first. He was our Rogue Warrior last week. Similar price in a similar field. Look, if you're playing single entry contests, I think it's maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm talking myself into a hole here. He's going to be low price. He's going to be low owned. And he is the epitome of boom or bust, in my opinion. Like, just the absolute epitome. It wouldn't shock me if he comes out and wins this week. I don't think he will, because he's just not as long as maybe some people think he is. And his putter can kind of be like, he's got a very unorthodox type of putter setup where he like kind of goes back, pauses, goes through, sort of like his backswing. So I'm going to skip on Hideki, and we'll just go right to the Rogue Warrior of the week, the man in orange. It's Ricky Fowler.
It's pretty Ricky, huh?
Yeah. I mean, look, I first of all, I love the form he's in. He's coming up off two top tens, one at the Cadillac. Again, I keep bringing up the API, tied for ninth. I was listening to Johnson Wagner and Smiley Kaufman, two of the CBS analysts, talk about it, Golf Channel guys, former PGA Tour pros. And they were discussing Fowler, and they said, look, it's just a matter if he's willing to work hard enough. His swing is as silky as possible. His putter is awesome right now. He's accurate off the tee. He's hitting it. He's hitting his irons well. He's checking the boxes in terms of what it's going to take to win here. Significantly good putter on Bermuda. He's trying to get into the majors. I believe he's qualified for the PGA, but he missed the Masters. So what it's going to take for guys like Ricky Fowler, the Matt Kuchars, the Billy Horschels, these guys to keep getting into these events, or to keep playing well and to have a chance to win a major, to get yourself back into the U.S. Open and in the Masters and things like that. So I think he's a Rogue Warrior for all of those reasons. Plus, 9K is a wild price for him right now.
Because he's hot. Price. You feel like he is trending in the right direction, Ricky is.
I think he is, but I think when I saw that price, I'm like, whoa, that is way too high for him. I expected him to be 8,200 or something like that.
Who has had the better career to this point? Obviously, Sergio won the Masters. But when you put Sergio and Ricky side by side, Sergio probably has the better career, but do you see more untapped potential there than any other two golfers that have ever played the game?
That's a great question. I think Fowler's potential is probably more untapped because of just his laid back attitude, and also that he's like a happy go lucky guy, right? Like if you combine those, because that's the opposite of Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
We've discussed Garcia's temper tantrums and smacking the sand around. Did you see the video where he spit in the cup not long ago?
Yes, nothing.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
For those listeners who didn't see it, I think it was the 2012 Open or the 2012 Major. I think he reaches down to pick up his ball after double bogey, spits a loogie into the cup. I mean, it's unprecedented.
So,
but look, Garcia's won a lot, if you include European Tour events and stuff. And so, you know, untapped potential? No, I don't think so. I think it was like an attitude problem. I think it was, just being a weenie and look in all the big spots. He choked, man. He lost the Open Championship in a playoff to Padraig. He went water how many times when he was staring down Tiger at TPC Sawgrass, and so Fowler, ironically, has a top five in every major, top five to every single one of them in 2014. Won the Players, has 7 or 8 PGA Tour wins. Has won here actually, won at Quail Hollow in 2012. So
both guys just coming onto the scene though as very young guys, the youngest you could possibly be to come on tour with just huge expectations for them that neither really fully has lived up to as you get into the twilights of their career. Of course, Ricky playing good right now has a little bit more time than Sergio does, I would say. All right. So our flyer of the week, our rogue warrior of the week is Ricky Fowler at 9,000. It is the host of this show, not the expert. I'm going to come out and say that's a little high for my liking at 9,000 with Ricky Fowler. Let's get the prop drop here real quick, Wild Man. And then I'm going to bounce a couple other names off you this week at Quail Hollow. But what do we got for a prop drop? We went 0-3 last week. We're 1-4 on the prop drop. We need a winner this week, man. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, do I go back to the playoff? It's got to happen at some point. It's always plus money. And again, I mean, like you're expecting these tournaments to be kind of tight, but today's PGA Tour, man, you do see some of those guys just running away, don't you?
Last few tournaments has been that way. I mean, Scotty, any other year would probably have a win or two under his belt right now because he's playing good enough to finish runner-up in every tournament. But you've got a guy that's, outplaying him by a shot, 2 or 3. So that's just the way the season's gone so far this year.
My prop drop is going to be, I'm going to give you 2 top 20s to bet. The first one is a guy that we've been on last couple of weeks, Christopher Retan. He is just bombing it, man. He hits it really far. He's coming in off that near win where he and Ventura made 5. Ventura. What's all that pet food for?
Ventura's playing in the Myrtle Flight 1 Open this week, by the way.
Yeah. Fiber. But they made 5 eagles on Sunday to nearly force a playoff there. He backed it up as the alternate to Jake Knapp last week. Got in about 10 minutes before he teed off, and it paid off with a nice finish. So we're going to take him to top 20. Came in with 14th last week. And the other top 20 bet, we're going to go with Aldrich Potcater. He's 6,700, South African kid, really young guy. Already a PGA Tour winner. And look, this is a long course. There's a par 4 that plays almost 530. Every one of the par 3s is almost 200. There's several par 4s that are 450 plus. This guy does 2 things really well. Well, 3 things. Hits it really far, hits long irons really well, and makes a lot of birdies. Now, he's erratic, but there's no cut. And so I do like Potcater to, over the course of 72 holes, to be able to play some good, consistent golf. So we'll go Retan and Potcater, top 20s.
All right, a couple guys I want to bounce off you. I'm just going to keep calling him out because he's a long hitter, and I feel like he could be. He's got a lot of potential. We keep talking about it. Chris Gotterup. You like him this week or not? Is he going to kind of do what he did last week? I mean, he hits the ball a mile, right? But you need long irons here also.
Yeah, I think most people are still stuck on him in that run he made last July, where he won the Scottish, and I think he finished 2nd or 3rd at the British the following week. He followed that up with another win in that proximity and then won the Phoenix in February. But that's a long time ago, man, when it comes to golf. Like, we're into the middle of May already, almost. And so, if you go back even the last 6 months, his real blip on the radar is that Phoenix Open back in February. So his golf hasn't been that good of late. And that just seems like a guy that maybe just caught lightning in a bottle there so to speak. And so I'm going to wait for him to prove it again before I'm betting too much money on him.
Victor Hovland, 8,400 just seems a little iffy at that price right now. His head doesn't seem to be in it. But our boy, Harris English, I know we don't want to sound repetitive here, but that is Rogue Warrior of the Week price right there for Harris, 8,200. Again, a guy that kind of didn't do what we wanted him to last week, but he's consistent as hell, Wild Man. Where do you fall on Harris this week?
Yeah. Yeah. Like Hovland's the European Hideki, might win this week. I don't know what. Who knows?
Right.
But look, the gum chewer Harris English, you got to be loyal to the soil. I'll be on him this week. I just know I will. And by the way, he was the runner-up at the PGA at Quail Hollow. Now played a little different, played more difficult. So a guy like is ranking very, very high up, top 15 in putting. Really good off the tee. His irons have not been producing for him, but he's okay in that 175 to 200 range, which he should have a lot of approach shots. So, yeah, loyal to the soil with the chewer.
All right. These are guys I thought were for sure going to be Rogue Warriors of the Week. Jordan Spieth at 8,000, who played pretty darn good last week. Our boy, McLaren, Justin Rose at 7,700. Gary Woodland, here's our boy again, long hitter. Thursday and Friday looked good last week. Any of those three on your radar at all if I needed an emergency man to finish up a lineup, to fill up a lineup?
I'm going to say no on Spieth. I say no on Spieth every time, don't I? Look, I said this last week about Justin Rose. Last time he made the equipment change in 2013, he missed the cut in his first event. He won the second event with that equipment. So, do you believe in trends? Arnold Palmer, Torrey Pines, Memorial, U.S. Open courses. He has success at all of those. So, I think he's worth maybe a dart throw if you really needed it.
And Woodland.
Yeah, Woodland. I mean, he's always had success in Texas, where he won. So I'm kind of, bottling that up. He plays really well in Texas, where he can hit those patented like 2-iron stingers and get the low country run out type of stuff. He's got good club head speed. He's hitting it really far. One of the top 2 or 3 players in terms of driving distance. I think he's right behind Potkeeter, actually, who's number 1. But I don't know. I'm starting to think maybe that thing with Gary was just a Texas charm.
Word association quickly. Keegan Bradley, 7,400.
Don't bring him to the Ryder Cup.
I mean, I asked you for word association. If you folks that are listening could have seen the face Wild Man just made when I brought up Keegan Bradley. It was like Michael Bolton in Office Space, that look of disgust. I like Retan a lot, actually. Wild Man, at 6,900. That is a really bargain price for that guy who played pretty well at Durrell last week. Couple real quick names I want to throw at you. P.I. Cootie, 6,900.
Yeah, the story I tell about Cootie all the time, I think I told you this off the air recently. I came out of a 7-hour surgery in July of 2024. And apparently, I've never been to Europe, by the way. I was telling the doctors and all the people around me that I had a tea time with the Cootie brothers in Mallorca, Spain, that I couldn't miss. No idea where that came from. I don't even know if I'd heard of these guys before. But, I'm off 7 hours of anesthesia, just speaking gibberish. But for that reason, I'll always give him a look.
Brian Harmon, 6,800.
Yeah, I think it's just going to play a little too long for him. And if you're looking at course history, you're going to see that Harmon has won the Truist, but he won it in 2017 at the Eagle Club. It was not played at Quail Hollow. So he's like a Kevin Kisner, right? Could top 25 anywhere, but he's not winning here.
And I'll just throw out this name just for the sake of talking about it. Gets his card at the Zurich, finishes top 10 last week at the Blue Monster. Alex Fitzpatrick still waving or riding that wave of momentum. 6,800. Is he worth a flyer this week? Could he fall into that Rogue Warrior? And again, you don't have a lot of sample size on this guy. I'm just talking about the vibe and the feel right now. He feels poised to maybe make a cut. Of course, this is a
That's a,
no-cut event, I guess, but to make another run at something.
yeah, that's a pretty good sample size, though. A win and backing it up on your own.
Right.
That's a pretty good sample size. And yeah, it's amazing what pressure can do to you in sports. You know, I mean, you were a basketball player at a high level. Like when you're taking a free throw up 13 in the fourth quarter, that's a lot different than taking a free throw down one in the fourth quarter. Uh, he's got all the spirits lifted off of him, all the pressure. He's made more money in the last 2 weeks than he's made in his whole career, I think, over in Europe. So he's probably
I'd
going to
probably
buy
retire.
himself.
I'd probably
Like,
retire if I was
I
him.
mean, he's got a 2-year exemption on the tour. He's in all the majors. He's in all the signature events. Like, yeah, it's grip it and rip it for Fitzpatrick, man. This is found money for Alex Fitzpatrick.
So our core four this week: Xander Schauffele at 10,000, Adam Scott at 8,900, Kurt Kitayama at 7,800, and Akshay Bhatia at 7,700. Our flyer of the week, believe it or not, $9,000 for Ricky Fowler, and we're going to top 20 Retan, and we're going to top 20 Potgieter also. Any final thoughts on the Quail Hollow Truist Classic coming up, Loudman?
I think a lot of people are going to fall on Max Homa this week because this is his course history is about as good as he has in America. He's won here. He's got a couple top 8s, top 10s, I think. I'm just not buying him with his stats, and I don't think he's long enough. And I think
I don't think he's trending in the right direction.
Yeah,
there's something going on with Max really over the last season or two. He was red hot there for a while, beginning of the season, maybe 2024. I think he maybe won once or twice. Everybody was real high on him, and it just hasn't been going well for Max. I like him a lot. I hope his game gets back to where it should be.
I think he's scrappy.
The one flight in Myrtle Beach. Do you want to say anything about that at all? Brooks Koepka is the leading name there at 10,400. Billy Horschel's in there, we mentioned. Joel Damon's in there. Matt Kuchar, Gorillo. Anything you want to say about that, though, Wildman?
Yeah, I mean, Koepka should win this event, should he not? I mean,
Rory should win this one coming up also, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. But I mean, this is actually, we never would watch the silly season type of events and these opposite events, but all of a sudden, this is like a huge field. I mean, Bezuidenhout's in this. I do like Casey Jarvis, by the way. If you're playing the one flight, run Casey Jarvis. This guy is ripping up the European Tour. He came over to the Zurich with AJ Ewert, and they made a run. I think they finished in the top 5 or 6. Watch out for Casey Jarvis this week. And if you're playing the one flight, I'd play Jarvis.
All right. Before we sign off the air real quick, I got to know this. I know you are typically a more of a Nets guy than a Knicks guy, but are you all of a sudden a New York Knicks basketball fan? Because I'll tell you what, they look poised right now to make a long run, if not the promised run, in this NBA playoff.
Well, I've always been a Knicks guy. I have only recently, blended over to the Nets to support our longtime listener and fifth brother of the family, Derek Croner, who has courtside seats to the Nets, by the way, and they are tight. I sat very close to Floyd Mayweather last time I was there with him, but they're just, I mean, that organization's in shambles, what it once was. I mean, it wasn't long ago. They had Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
They had Cam Thomas, Wiz Khalifa.
Well, let's talk about the Knicks. Are they going to win the championship?
Yeah, I'm all in on the Knicks to win the East. Now, can they beat Oklahoma City, let's say? I doubt it. I just don't think Brunson, I think he's good enough to win the East, but man, they don't back him up a lot.
They have been rolling teams in their last 2 or 3 games, though.
They have
an average of 35 points each game.
They have, but in the first half last night, he had 27. I think he was 11 for 14 from the field or 11 for 16 from the field with 27. And the next guy on the team was 1 for 4, And so he's a little guy. His contemporary was Javon Carter, who, by the way, was in Game 7 for Orlando. Did you catch that?
Yeah, and Javon Carter was drafted 32nd overall, if I'm not mistaken, and Brunson was drafted 34th overall, I believe.
That's right. What a mistake that was, huh?
Well,
Holy smokes. Um,
what happens if the Wolves win it? Would that bother you? Do you like Anthony Edwards?
yeah, I got no problem with Edwards.
And what
I,
about
I,
the
don't-
Spurs with Wemby?
I think I think the Spurs like it's funny, as Pittsburgh fans over the last, well, not the last 10, but the 10 prior to that, say like '05 to 2017, the Penguins were elite, the Steelers were winning Super Bowls, the Pirates even had a playoff run. And now I kind of get it how everybody hated Pittsburgh fans. Like, boy, is that just annoying.
Well, they still hate Pittsburgh fans, believe me. We've been
Yeah.
down on the mat, and I just got back from a golf trip where everyone was just belittling Pittsburgh at any opportunity they could.
Well, they're probably like Buffalo fans or something, right? Like, can't,
Um,
you know.
did you win
But
any money on the Kentucky Derby?
I think the Spurs need to pay a little bit more dues before Wemby's winning a title.
All right.
The Kentucky Derby was great. Yeah, I actually had a piece of Ocelli with a friend who showed, and we also had a piece of Golden Tempo. So it was really exciting down the stretch. And man, I tell you what, I've watched that video of Cherie DeVoe, the trainer, kicking and screaming with the music overlaid. It's kind of weird without the
Yeah.
music over, but with the music overlaid, man, that's a special moment.
Yeah.
That's really really cool to see that horse run out for her. And win.
Nothing better than the Kentucky Derby. It was a heck of a race this year. The year or two before that, if you remember, the horse came from all the way in the back down the final stretch to win.
Yeah,
They
Rich
call it
Strike.
the fastest 2 minutes in sports, man. And it's not long enough. I mean, I wish it could go on forever because the
Yeah,
excitement is just something that the build up to it, the actual execution of the event, and then the immediate aftermath. Like, you don't need to be a fan of anything or anyone. It's just that moment, man. Those couple minutes in
yeah. And I'll tell you what, I hosted a birthday party on Saturday actually. And it was like a Kentucky Derby themed party. And so they asked me to come in and like run some horse racing games and things like that. And I'll tell you what we did, and it was awesome. We started, I think, in race 7 because the party didn't kick off till like 2:30. And I auctioned off just the names of the horses. So there were no odds, no nothing. And you just screamed out if you wanted to buy the horse for a predetermined price. And we collected the money and then paid that out. And we laddered that up to the Kentucky Derby, which was $20 a ticket. And so we had a whole living room full of people. I mean, screaming at the TV, man. It was pretty cool. I would recommend doing it at your house party or even do it for the Preakness. I'll probably run a party like that for the Preakness.
Spirit Air folds. Does that affect you at all in the Tampa St. Pete area?
No, I'm an Allegiant guy, as you know. I fly out of Tampa.
Well, they're
I fly out of
next.
St.
They're
Petersburg.
next, just so you know.
Yeah, if that happens, I'm in big trouble. But but yeah, Spirit. I mean, look, the current climate of geopolitical, issues and economic issues within our country, domestic issues, is so bad. I mean, I just paid $4.59 a gallon, guys, in St. Pete, Florida. It was $2.63 a gallon at the Super Bowl. I mean, this is getting out of hand.
On
There's no end in sight.
Saturday morning at 9 a.m., I woke up and had an alert from Spirit Air that my Sunday flight back to Pittsburgh from Myrtle direct had been canceled. And I was sent scrambling. I had to go, then leave a day early. I had to get on Southwest, which then connected in Nashville. It cost me an extra $300 or $400. But, that's the price you pay for booking with Spirit to begin with, folks. You get what you pay for. And for $70 one way back direct, trust me, I got what I paid for on that
Did you
one.
get a refund?
They did refund my money. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems like one where they're like, "Hey, submit your claim in the next 120 days. We'll mail
No,
you
if you paid with a credit card, you got your money back right away. If you paid some other way, you're probably going to have to go through the bankruptcy process.
Yeah.
One final thing I got to ask you, and this is a local story. The St. Louis fish fry was this past week. I know that you're normally a staple there, but you didn't make
Yeah.
it back this year, huh?
No, I didn't make it back for no reason other than just didn't get around to booking the flights, and I got a wedding coming up that you'll be at. I got a couple of golf outings in the hopper. So, I gotta kind of, pick and choose which trips I'm taking up north.
I haven't been to a St. Louis fish fry in it's got to be 20 years. And I haven't lived in Pittsburgh for 20 years though either. But the last fish fry I was at, we used to do this thing called CCD where you would go Wednesday evenings and like at St. Louis de Marillac, they had like a Catholic school. We'd go into the Catholic school classrooms and we'd learn about religion for that hour, for that 1 hour during the week. Well, that was like, throughout my elementary and middle school years. When I finally became of drinking age and went to the St. Louis Fish Fry, there were poker games, guys smoking cigarettes and cigars and kegs of beer in these same Catholic school classrooms. And I always thought to myself, I'm like, how on earth do they get that smell out of those rooms by the time kids come back to school on Monday? And I don't know how they do it. I mean, maybe they don't. I have never actually been to St. Louis on a
Right. As we don't know the answer to that.
right.
Even, I mean, there's drawings taped to the wall from kids.
Yeah, right.
They probably stink like cigar smoke, And
Yeah.
I mean, people are, tobacco products and
Hey man, it's a
cars
fish
and-
fry. It's a fish fry. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter where it's at. We're gonna party and we're gonna
It's
have
good. It's good.
All
I was
right,
in a
final
private
thoughts.
room. I was in a private room at it last year. And I mean, pick a number, 80, 90 bottles of bourbon in there. It's like everybody brings like the nicer bottle of bourbon to show up the Joneses. And I mean, oh man, me and a buddy just posted up in the corner. We called it the whiskey corner, the nipper corner is what we called it. Anybody who walked in, we're like, hey, you want a nip? Come on over.
Oh geez. Is there anything better than like drinking cold light beer and then like
Yeah, by the way,
a bottle of whiskey every 15 or 20 minutes?
and by the way, here's my final thought. The guy that I'm speaking about, I won't name him. He's a prominent business owner in Pittsburgh, but found out the next day that he and I had started a new conglomerate of a business in the nipper corner. And a third party friend said, well, that's good because he was in my kitchen at 3:30 a.m. buck naked cooking scrambled eggs. So
Just thinking about he had a vision. He had a vision that night for sure. Our core four at the Quail Hollow Truist Championship in Charlotte is Xander Schauffele, Adam Scott, Kurt Kitayama, Akshay Bhatia. Ricky Fowler is our Rogue Warrior of the Week, and our prop drop is Retan to finish top 20 and Pot Geeter to finish top 20 as well. For TW Man, my name is Edge. As always, thanks so much for listening. Until next time, best of luck this week in Charlotte, and we'll talk to you next week for the big one, the PGA Championship. Thanks for listening, guys.